That which gets measured gets improved, especially when you're in the roofing business. Our guest created the most powerful and popular roofing app, and his startup stories will leave you feeling inspired to keep going with your founder journey. Stay tuned for the Startup Life live show. Let's glow. She said. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life live show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founder startup stories to help newly minted business owners find the solutions they need and inspiration they need to succeed. Not to mention some representation, right? Because seeing another founder struggle through their journey makes you feel less isolated, less lonely. And you never know when you're going to find a solution or an aha moment or just be inspired to take your business to the next level by hearing another founder startup story. So I'm so grateful that you tuned in and carved out time to up your founder game while cheering on another founder, because we're all in this together, right? We got to cheer each other on and boost each other up. If you're joining us live today or via replay, be sure to say hello in the comment section. Whether you're live or replay viewers, your comments and insights and questions are welcome. And we love to hear them and love to respond to them. And thank you for sharing your love with the video wherever you're watching. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And when you click that like button, this video goes out to your community, and somebody in your community may be struggling through a new venture, might be side hustling. And so you're helping those who want to do better and know more and who might be thinking about becoming a startup founder by sharing your love and sharing the Startup Life live show with them. Also, if you're tuning in from YouTube and you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate your subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking that icon button so you'll receive an alert whenever I add a new video or go live. This, again, just helps us reach more founders and, as a result, maximize the joy and minimize the heartache of some founder's journey. And if you resonate with the show's mission of amplifying diverse founders while serving first-time founders around the world, please reach out to me to learn more about how you can make a greater impact on the startup ecosystem through sponsoring the Startup Life live show. You can always find me, Ande, at andelyons.com. And if you want to receive an alert whenever we post a new show, here we go. Let me just bring this baby up right here. Please join the Startup Life Live meetup group. You can scan that QR code or visit the link bit.ly/Startup Life Live. I'll have the links in all the show notes. And that way you'll receive an alert and know who we're celebrating and showcasing and learning from on the Startup Life live show. So let me tell you a little bit about today's founder. I'm just going to pull this incredible person's artwork experience here. And this is Abraham Ventura's company. He's the founder and CEO of Pitch Gauge, a roofing property inspection software that calculates the total size and slope of any roof. It's used by over 100,000 roofers a month and is the #1 downloaded roofing app. Now, I got to tell you, and you know about the founder journey, it's never a straight shot, right? Well, Abraham has had an interesting journey, and similar to the riskiness of roofing and the steepness of roofing, he has had a rather dangerous and risky journey to entrepreneurship, but he worked through those personal challenges, including incarceration and dissolved roadblocks. Yeah, he's a self-taught computer geek. So today, Abraham has a successful business and a beautiful family. And you're just going to love meeting this man. Let me bring him right in right now. Welcome to the show, Abraham Ventura.
Hello, Ande. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy to have you here and have you sharing your startup story. And I'm so grateful a fellow Twitter fan and friend in the Twitterverse, Paul, right, introduced us.
Yes, Paul. Yep. All it
Yeah.
just
So
says one tweet.
yeah, one tweet, he said, "Hey, Andy, you might want to consider having Abraham on your show." I was like, oh, who is this incredible individual? Oh my gosh, I must learn everything and know more. And so I was so delighted he reached out and shared. And let me just say hello to a few folks who are tuning in. I would say, Mia Voss, you are the Startup Life Live show #1 viewer, fan, supporter. I'm going to get a plaque for you. Seriously, it means the world to me that you tune in so often. And thank you, and for sharing the show everywhere you glow. Folks, Mia, oh, by the way, Abraham, she is also a building inspector, just saying, but she's also the host
Yes.
of the Shit We Don't Talk About podcast. And folks, this is the show that you always want to be listening to wherever you are to keep abreast of things that people don't always want to talk about. She's also a brand ambassador for many large brands. So you got to follow Mia everywhere she glows. And Erin, she's a local goddess. Hi, Erin. So happy to see you. She lives down the road here, right outside of Boston. And thank you too, Erin, for sharing the show today with everybody. I really appreciate that too. And yes, you have your TMC services, inspect.com hat on today, Ms. Mia Voss.
Nice.
Yay. So this is going to be great, great, great. Abraham, where are you on the, what I'd like to call the roller coaster ride of your startup journey?
Oh, sure, Andy. Right now, we're raising funds. It's been a long road. Our business is growing. Hurricane has hit. The
Yeah.
hurricane has hit, and that just makes our business. It's sad, but it helps our business grow.
Right.
With that, a lot of contractors can measure roofs and just save the time of
Right.
climbing the roof and risking their lives.
So I just wanted to get that out front to everybody because, you know, the Startup Life Live show is here to support our founders, right? So you're going to see when I get his banner up here that you can reach out to Abraham through his email. Any investors watching, or if you know any investors that this would be a good deal for them, reach out to Abraham, Ventura at pitchgauge.com, and he can send you more details. Where are you hanging out from today?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta. I tell you, that's another little startup hub, right?
Yes, we're growing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's some great folks there. And it reminds me, I think I've got to introduce you to a specific fund that just raised a lot of money. So I'm going to put you in touch with them as
Great,
well.
great.
But I'm just going to say a quick hello to Brent from Ottawa. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love our clients from around the world. Clients, listen to me, our viewers from around the world. Keeping contractors healthy, safe, and alive. All hashtags provided by Aaron Lubian on LinkedIn. Oh, goddess, you rock it. That's how we get it on here and spread the word. All right, we're going to dive in to Abraham's amazing background. And I say amazing because we all have different starts in life, right? Some of us get, great education. We get off and lots of family love and support. And other times we got nothing and we have even bigger roadblocks to overcome. And so let's begin chatting about your rocky road that you had, that not just growing up, but led to incarceration. And then that moment that you realized you didn't want to be that guy and who you did want to be. Share with us a little bit about your journey. Thank you.
So I'll start in the beginning. I remember when I was a kid, I had a lot of good memories. I had a good family, mom, dad, 2 sisters. I have a twin sister. And also everything was perfect. And one thing I noticed about my parents, they were really good at just making it seem perfect. So I remember one day that they were arguing, and I've never heard them argue. That was new to me. So I heard them arguing. I remember running out to the living room and I actually seen my father aggressive and mad, and he actually threw a rubbing alcohol bottle at my mom. At that point, I was like, I don't know who this person was. I was really afraid. And everything settled down. The next day, my mom told me, "Hey, pack your bags up. We're moving to Georgia." And I was 8 years old. I didn't even know where Georgia was. They actually said Atlanta, and I was thinking Antarctica, and I'm like, Antarctica, that's a whole different place. So my world was like upside down.
Yeah.
So come to find out, we moved to Georgia, and I was like, well, is dad coming with us? She was like, no, dad's not coming. We're just going to get a divorce. So we moved to Georgia. We moved in with my aunt. She had a husband, a very strict husband. So coming from my father there, my father was okay before the divorce. He was an alcoholic. He used to drink a lot,
Yeah.
but he was very nice when he drunk. He
Oh, a
was very
nice drunk.
strict. Yeah, he
Okay.
was a nice drunk. He wasn't aggressive. I think maybe when he wasn't drinking, that's when he was aggressive
Yeah.
and mean. So he was, we had fun with him when he was drinking. He would let us climb on the couches, jump all over him. And then when in the mornings, it would just be like walking on eggshells and kind of
Sure.
being careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming from all that to moving into my aunt's house, her husband was very strict. He didn't have any kids. He didn't know about raising kids. So we had to like be very quiet and so on. So it was like a whole change for me.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
congrats to your mom, though, to remove herself and her children from that environment, because you teach your children a lot by your actions. And once it got where it was going to be dangerous and she was being mistreated, she did the right thing in moving you guys out, and that must have been a horribly difficult decision for her to make.
yeah, yes, it actually very was. And yeah, you're right. She's a very strong woman. She made that decision, and she moved to a whole different state that she's never been at, with someone else, and she had to start from scratch. She
Yeah.
didn't have anything. And I remember that my dad would like kind of make fun of her. He would be like, hey, I told you would never be anything without me. And he was just very mean to her.
Well, it's
And
very
she was just,
abusive. Yeah.
yeah, she was trying her hardest. She eventually had two jobs. She worked at a hotel housekeeping job, and then she worked at a Crystals, which is like a White Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked there. And I remember she finally got her own place. We were so happy to get out the other house. And she used to work all the time, and she used to work at Crystals, and she used to bring us home Crystal burgers for dinner.
Nice.
And yes, that was nice. And
But-
I remember. I remember that at those moments, I just used to look at my mom, and I just used to be so proud of her and just like smile at her and just think like she was the prettiest woman in the world, and just be very happy with the mother that I got blessed with.
I got to tell you,
So-
can we just have a moment, everybody, for that?
Mm.
Thank you for having that gratitude, and also just taking a moment to say thank you, Mom, for working so hard
Thank you, Mom.
to give your
Yes.
children a better life, even though you were with the strict child-free person. Because let's face it, folks, if you're child-free, you can't begin to explain what it's like to
right.
parent. You need that warm-up period of the first few
Yes.
years where you're completely insane, to
Yeah.
help you have to learn these two very important words: practicing patience.
Yes. Eventually, he warmed up and he became a nice guy. He had his own kids and things. But
Okay.
I had to say that, because I had to say that he was very strict, because it was all just building up kind of anger in me. Resistance with authority and men. Every time I got my mom tried to have a relationship, and I basically ruined that for her, just telling the guy that, hey, you're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. Same thing with teachers. I just started rebelling very badly, and
Yeah.
that didn't help at all. And
So
No, go
yeah,
ahead.
and that does build up, and especially when you want to be the protector, the natural inclination of a good man is to want to protect and provide, and you wanted to, of course, do that for your mom, and who was going to step in there to do that? Not some stranger, not in your shift, but all of that builds up, and if you don't have a way to process that, Abraham, it starts showing up in ways that are not healthy. How did that work out
Exactly.
with you?
Exactly. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. I started doing bad in school. Like I said, I started rebelling against teachers. I got up to the 10th grade, and I started getting into trouble. I ended up dropping out of school at the 10th grade. I ended up, mom was trying to, still trying to tell me what to do, and just by that time I was so rebellious
Yeah.
that it was hard for her to control me. But one thing I noticed is that, like, when that got too out of hand, where my mom couldn't just hold me down, I ended up running away and moving out. I went to go live with my sister, And then I went to go live on my own. And for that, I had to, I started selling drugs. Uh, I started selling drugs to maintain pay my rent and so on. I joined a gang. I got into so much trouble. Eventually, I got so many signs from the universe just telling me, hey, this is the route that you need to take. This is the route that you need to take. I remember my mom said, hey, she called me. She was like, hey, let's just go out to eat Waffle House. And then as soon as I get in the car, I was in the corner. As soon as I got in the car, I closed the door. Everybody in the corner got arrested. And my mom was like, you see, that's God talking to you. And I'm like, okay, I understand. I went to have dinner with her, and then I went right back to the streets. So eventually I ended up getting arrested, and I ended up getting arrested for selling drugs. I ended up doing, they gave me 6 years. At first I was facing 20 years, and I was 17 at that moment.
Wait a minute, for selling drugs, and you weren't even crossing state lines? Listen to me. I just don't understand our justice system when some very other serious crimes are being committed.
Exactly.
Looking at 20 years, my God. But
it was little bit too. It was very little amount too. It was just like they were trying to make a point. And it was
yeah. Well, anyway, so you got incarcerated. How long were you in?
I ended up doing 4 years. But the thing is, I was the youngest person in there. I was 17, and you have to be 18 to be in prison. But I was just about to turn 18, so I was in there with grown men, 17, and you already had a complex of like nobody can tell me what to do and things like that. But at that moment, I wasn't gonna be that brave guy. I knew I was young, and I just need to be quiet and just stay in my lane.
Oh, God.
So I just
Well, can we just go back to your mom for a second?
Sure. Yes.
That must have been so scary for her.
Yes.
For her baby boy.
It was very scary. But one thing is that she never gave up on me. She always visited me. She never stopped, supporting me in anything.
So you were incarcerated close enough for her to drive to?
Yes. I was, well, actually I was in jail. And first they send you to jail, then they send you to prison. So while I was in jail, she could visit me often. Yeah. But when I got sent off, she couldn't visit me. But one decision that I made while I was in jail, I told myself that I was going to get completely new friends. I was just going to cut everyone off, and not speak to anyone. So I didn't speak to anyone, and this is going to come back later on in the story because I have a good friend that never abandoned me. So, yep. So wow. So after I went to prison, I got shipped off to prison. And when I was there, I remember when you first get there, you meet people and you're like, hey, how long you've been there? How long you've been arrested? I remember meeting this one guy that he was like, hey, I've been here 21 years, and I thought to myself, 21 years, that's longer than I've been alive. And I just started thinking, I was like, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. I made that decision right then that, that wasn't going to be me. So I thought to myself, I had to make a change. And that change had to be me. So I went in there. I took every corrective thinking class they had. I signed up for everything. I volunteered for everything. I stuck to myself. I ended up getting my GED in there.
Yay.
Yep, I got my GED. They have libraries there. So I went in there and got library books. I studied my GED, got my GED, and just really improved myself.
Right. And I want listeners to understand, sometimes we have this fantasy about the prison system that you go in and you have this opportunity because you hear stories. Oh, they got their GED, then they got their JD, they became attorneys. They did this. Look, you have to be really self-motivated. It's not like you get to sign up. Oh, Mondays and Tuesdays we have, and Fridays and Thursdays, we have this class. No, you have to be the one who wants to make it happen. And what I love about this story so far about you, these are incredible signs of who you are and who you be intrinsically underneath the anger that you hadn't processed, the fact that you knew that you needed corrective behavioral thinking, you needed to get an emotional literacy happening for you, right? Yes. And then you got your GED and you started to really think about who you were going to be when you landed outside again. This is incredible. And this is, is going to be the thread that carries you to where you are today, just really hitting things out of the ballpark. So you served your 4 years. Did you learn other things while you were inside?
Sure. Yeah. One of the things that I want to mention is that while taking those corrective thinking classes, I understand that they had this class called victim stance, and I understand that everything that was happening, I was trying to blame, like I was trying to pretend like I was the victim, and I never took responsibility. I never was like, oh, maybe I can make a difference. Maybe the circumstances don't have to end like this. And so I started changing the way I thought, and I think that helped me move forward past the rebelliousness and the not wanting to listen to anyone. So
Right.
when I went in there, yep. So I had never touched a computer, but I forgot to mention my dad was really handy with electronics, and he used to like work on electronics, and I used to watch him.
Nice.
So I used to like electronics, and so I had never touched a computer before then. But I went to the library and I grabbed every computer book that they had. I read through them. I knew what HTML was before I even got out, before I even touched a computer. I looked into that.
So in the
So
library, they had the books, but not the actual device.
yep. No, you couldn't touch a computer at all in there. They
All
had
right.
books on
So
it.
you had to start thinking about what it was like, envisioning, hitting the keyboard,
Yes.
stroking these kind of codes, how the computer thought,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
that
Yeah, you're right. I never thought about it, but that's exactly what it was. I was visualizing keyboards and actually understanding how they work and even binary bits and bytes and things like that. But
ah,
it was
see,
great.
another delicious piece of evidence about how your beautiful brain works. This is so wonderful. And so you felt really called to do that. And so
Yes.
when you finished your prison term and you got on the outside, what was life
Yes.
like when you landed there?
Yep. So one thing I remember is while I was in there, I had told you I cut off all my friends.
Yeah.
I have one best friend he's my best friend now for 30 years. He called like every prison looking for me. He was like, and me and him used to get in trouble all the time. So he called every prison looking for me. He was like, hey,
Oh, so
I
he
straightened out
didn't
my
know.
life.
Were you federal or state prison?
State. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't know where I was. He just had to call around. But I remember he sent me a letter. He was like, "Hey, I straightened out my life. I got married. I got a wife. I had my first child. And when you get out, you can parole out to my house." So that was amazing, and that's how I knew that was a friend that I should keep. His name is Tino. So
Tino. Oh, Tino. I got to
yes,
tell you, that is the best offer ever.
yes,
And
it
that gives
was.
you, of course, first of all, someone who understands who you were
Yes,
before you went in, and who understands the process of turning life around effectively
yes,
and wanted to be there
yes.
to make sure you did too. All
Yes,
right.
I literally got out with nothing. I literally got out with nothing. They give you a belt,
Yep.
khakis, and a shirt. So he picked me up. He gave me a place to stay. He bought me things to get going, and he got me my first job. My first job was HVAC, heating and air. So I knew that I had a passion for computers. So I knew that that's not something that I wanted to do forever. But
Right.
I kept that job. I did well. I moved up, and I was eventually able to start my own computer business. I was learning computers on the side as I was working there. So I eventually started my own computer business. I started repairing computers, would fix viruses and so on.
Oh my gosh.
And
But let me ask you a quick question, because,
sure,
again, when you get out on the outside, you're confronted with the fact that now you have a record. So the
yes,
HVAC company was willing to pick you up. Was that because you were introduced by Tito, or?
yeah, yeah. So he told him the whole story, and he told them that we've been best friends and that he guarantees them
Excellent.
that I'll do good. So he put his name on the line for me, and they accepted me. And
Excellent. And then
yes,
now you've got all this juiciness percolating inside of you for, over
yes,
4 years. Now you're ready to start diving into helping people with their devices, with their computers, fixing
sure.
things and understanding how this works. What did that teach you? What did that process teach you? Because now you're your own boss. You have to bill people. You have to manage you understand how the the bills get paid, and money comes in,
Yeah,
money
yeah.
goes out, buying parts, making sure you're charging everybody correctly. What did you learn from that?
Yeah, it taught me how to manage my schedule very well because I would have very strict schedules. I would be working, then I would have to like schedule people at certain times and just work around them, and also help me with sales and customer service. And I always wanted to treat people right, so
Yeah.
it helped me understand, customer service and their needs and so on.
Excellent.
So those,
So then, and this is what's so beautiful about your story, Abraham. Like, we hear this a lot, folks, like life has a plan for you.
Yeah.
One that you probably didn't
Yep.
think about, or that you had no idea. Sometimes it's a
Right.
greater dream than you could have ever had for yourself. But wow, following your story really cements for me that sometimes life has a way of guiding us toward our purpose. So let's
Yes.
chat about your pitch gauge story, because this is just a
Sure.
lovely and oh so delicious startup story.
Awesome.
I
Thank you.
mean, and I also just want to say, this, to just step back just a tiny bit about how you were willing to start from scratch. When just with your first business, being willing to start from scratch. So talk about that with pitch gauge as well. Thank you. I'll be quiet.
Sure, no problem, no problem. Chime in anytime. So one thing that wasn't that made it kind of easier for me to be able to start from scratch was the fact that when I got out, I had to start from scratch. I had my friend there to help me out and back me out, but he had his wife, his kids, and stuff like that, and I was trying to give him his privacy, and he was great, but I wanted to. I started from scratch, so I told myself like, hey, literally, you can start from nothing, and then start something. And that kind of gave me the idea. It's like, hey, let me figure out what I can build.
Hold on.
And
you can start from nothing and create something.
yes,
That's
yes.
very powerful. And folks, what I'm going to do with that right there. Don't ever doubt that you can start with nothing and create something. That is a stitch that on a pillow moment. Love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I built the business, the computer business. That was successful. I was able to buy a house. And between there, I had met my wife, my lovely wife, who's been married now for many years. And yes, she's amazing. And I knew she was the one for me because I had already visioned her in the past. So when I met her, I told her that when I met her, it was just like 2 weeks, and I told her we'll get married one day, and she just kind of laughed at me and it's like, yeah, whatever. So I had to really work for her love, because she had just gotten out of a breakup, and it was just
and here she is. She's going with a guy with a record, right? So, and at the same
yes.
time, that's okay.
It's so weird. So weird because her breakup, she had just broken up with a police officer, and yes, it was so weird. So it's just like, wow. But the breakup didn't go so well. He was a good guy, but it just didn't go so well. So she was like, hey, let me give this guy a try. But I had to work for her. One time I showed up at her job, and I had got her car, and I filled. She had a white car, so I waited till right before she got off, and I filled the whole top of the car with rose petals, and I put like roses and stuff, and kind of like we left, and she was like, she called me. She was like, was that you? I was like, yep, I'm working. So she definitely. That's when we started. That's when she finally said, okay, I'll give you a try. So
nicely done. Nicely done. I'll just say right now, from the romantic woman here, that's beautiful. But what I mean, you had done HVAC, you had done computer and helping folks and tech support, etc. But something had to trigger. Why in the heck would you want to create something that people could easily gauge the measurements of a roof? What happened? What was the event?
So after I got married and we had our house, the economy hit hard. It crashed 2008.
Yeah.
At that same time, a hurricane hit Louisiana. It was Hurricane Gustav. And a friend of mine had so much work. He was so busy. He was like, hey, let's go down there. Do you mind helping me out? And at that time, business was so slow that I was like, okay, let's do it. I was trying to figure out how to pay the bills. So I was like, okay, let's go do it. So I went down there to help him out. And my job was to knock on people's doors and say, hey, look, you have roof damage. Do you mind if I give you an estimate? I can work with your insurance company and help you out. So so homeowners would allow me to do that. And I would have to climb roofs. It would be very scary. It would sometimes two-story houses, right. Very steep pitch. Some of them have like 45-degree angles. So you have to get up there with your measuring tape and measure these houses. So
would you put up a safety net? I don't know. That's scary.
No, we just did it. You're supposed to have certain things, but we just kind of climbed it and just hoped. And at that time, so at that point, I had found out, I had heard of two roofers that I knew fell off the roof. One fell off a 2-story, one fell off of a 1-story.
Oh no.
Yes. So at that time, I'm thinking, and I had a lot of free time at night in the evenings. So I'm thinking like, wow, what if this happens to me? My wife is pregnant. How would this end up? So I didn't want that. Yeah, I didn't want that to be I didn't want that to happen to me. And I thought of, I got to come up with something. So the one thing that gave me an idea was that I'm a big electronics fan. So I always had my iPhone. I had an iPhone. And that was back then when they said they had an app for everything. So I looked for app for roofing and didn't have an app for roofing. So one thing that I remember is that I would always climb the roof and then forget my plastic pitch finder in the car. And a plastic pitch finder is something like this. It's just basically you just lay it on the roof and it tells you like the steepness of the roof. And in order, you need to know that steepness. If it's 45 degrees, if it's 12 pitch or so on, you need to know that in order to give somebody an estimate, because the steeper the roof, the more expensive it is to replace. So I remember I would have to climb down, go get that, and then come back up, and it would happen to me often. So I was like, there must be an app for that, and there wasn't. So at that time, I had a lot of free time in my hand. We had a lot of sales guys for that company, and everybody would party at night, and I would go hang out with them, but I would have guilt. I was like, it's not fair. I'm partying. My wife is at home and things like that. And like, that's not fair. So I'm like, I got to do something. So I came up with the idea. It's like, I remember the Bubble Level app. That was the first app that they had. So I knew that it was possible to build something like this with the iPhone.
And so that you saw that and you went, I can do that better.
Yes. I thought to myself, the Bubble Level app was to like hang pictures and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, this.
And that's like the bubble levels, and everybody who like home improvement, you put it up there to make sure your frame is not like this on the wall.
Yeah, you remember that, right? That was like one of the first apps that showed the actual accelerometer, which is a feature that you have to have on the phone. So I went on, I had no idea how to do that or even how to start that. So I contacted some developers, everyone. I knew I didn't have the money.
We're talking, what, 2009 now? What time? What, 2010?
2010. Yep.
Yeah.
2010,
so, folks, I know it feels like we're just inundated with apps. It's app city, but you got to remember, back then, apps were still new tech, right?
Yeah. Yes, they were. Yeah, they were just trying to promote everything, saying there's an app for everything, but there really wasn't. So yeah.
And so, how did you come up with your MVP? Minimum viable product. How did you figure out just to get a sketch going?
So I reached out to some developers. Everybody was too busy. And then also they were too expensive. So at night I had a lot of free time. So I just went on YouTube and I started searching how to build an app, how to add a button, what kind of platforms you had. And I remember I was so determined that when I first found out that you had to have a Mac to start building an app, I had old Toshiba laptop. But then I was like, is it possible to build an app with a Windows computer? And somewhere deep in the web, I found out that you can actually turn a PC into a Mac. So I hacked it. I made it into a Mac, and I was able to build myself, start from there. And
as Mia and both Aaron were sharing in the comment threads, you can start from nothing and create something, even if it's an app and you have an old Toshiba and you need to move it into.
They call it Hackintosh.
Hackintosh. Oh my gosh! I'm feeling a little memory hit right there. I think I recall that happening.
Remember that? Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So that's how you start playing. And of course, how much do we love that he got on YouTube? Because I'm always saying to my husband, there's a YouTube video for that, right?
For everything,
and of course, YouTube was still young in 2010. And and you knew, and this is again, that thread of who you be is just continuing to shine through everything that you're doing along the way here. I love this story. And I agree, Mia Voss, discovery stories are always the best. So at night, while your friends are partying, you were like, nope, I'm going to focus on creating something here.
Yes.
What happened next?
I went through all the YouTube all the YouTube classes. I also found out that iTunes had this thing called iTunes University, where Stanford University released their whole iOS development course for free. And I didn't know when I first started programming, I literally didn't know anything. I looked at the language and I was like, what in the world is this? Can I even do this? And what I did is I found out that, what was confusing me was me not understanding these terms that they were talking about. So I would listen to the same videos over and over again. The first three classes, the one that talks about the basics. And I realized that whenever you're listening to a video and you don't understand something, your brain stops there and tries to process things, but the video keeps going. So if I listen to the video enough times, I can understand that was coming, and then I can just not freeze up there and just keep going. So I would be listening
Excellent
to
piece
the
of
video.
advice, everybody. Take that in as well.
Yeah, I'll be listening to the videos while I'm on top of the roof speaking to adjusters, and I got the video playing and so on. So that kind of helped me understand.
Okay, so we can add resourceful and a brilliant, even though they say you can't multitask, I would call that multitasking.
Yes.
Amazing.
They had no idea. They had no idea that they'll be using the software that I was listening to at the moment.
And I also love the fact you got creative as far as how to teach yourself, and you found all these different resources to give you the information that you needed, Abraham, in order to, because I have a feeling that in your mind, you saw what you needed to create. You just needed to learn, how do I make that a reality? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I started off, I had to learn my way of learning because, different people have different ways of learning, and whatever works for you, that's what you should just like really focus on and just use it. I'm more of a hands-on visual learner, and so I would just listen to those audios. So I eventually released my first version. I released it to the App Store. It was kind of just for me, but it was just I released it to the App Store, and I remember I got my first few downloads. Then I got my first 1,000 downloads. When I got 1,000 downloads, that's when I was really celebrating. I was like, wow, I built this for myself, and then contractors were liking it and reaching out to me.
Wow.
So,
and what kind of reviews were you getting? Because I got to tell you, that's the scale that we measure an app's success by. Not just, the downloads are important, but what kind of feedback were you getting? Because this, folks, is why you want to launch and then start listening.
Yes. So I started getting great reviews. A contractor was saying, wow, this is what I needed. This saves me so much time. And then I started getting emails from contractors that had Android devices. So they were like, hey, you forgot about us. We need this software too. Can you release it for us? So I had to do the same thing. I had to stop development for iPhone, and I went over to Android and did the same thing on YouTube. How to build an Android app, how to add a button, how to add a screen. I started from like very, very basic of every step.
I just got to say to all my investor pals out there, this is why you want to invest in Abraham Ventura, because there's not a problem that he doesn't love, that he's going to figure it out. And that is the most important ingredient, in my humble opinion, of an investable founder, someone who is going to be hit with the problems, because that's a guarantee about your business. There are going to be so many roadblocks. What do? You stop, you figure it out. That's a brilliant aspect about you, Abraham.
Thank you. And that's how I feel now. I feel like, it's going to continue. Problems are going to continue. And I just have to take them as they come and just solve them.
That's right. And so now you are fully launched. You're starting to get feedback. What year are we talking now? 2012? You're like feeling like, okay, now I've got a bona fide business. Have you named it by then?
I had named it Pitch Gauge from the beginning. So it was just a matter of like
nobody had
finding a catchy name.
Yeah.
Nobody had that name. No domain, nothing. Yes.
My God, trademarked it and everything. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now you're doing what's really important with any product, service, technology, is that you've got to prove your hypothesis that people want this. You've got 1,000 downloads. So, okay, you're getting some great feedback. And again, folks, this is so wonderful about launching and then listening, because this is when you can reiterate and reiterate and reiterate, fine tune, make things better, learn what you need to know. Oh, we need an Android. Okay, go figure that out. What else were you learning from your customers during this period?
So I had got a lot of good feedback. I can tell that they were liking it. They were looking for updates and so on. So I was asking myself, well, what can I add to this as a feature that I can build that's not going to be crazy, that I can add value to the product. So I thought of something simple. It's called a square calculator. So basically, what it is they had this formula forever. It's you can get the length and the width of a roof, and then they have a pitch factor, and with that pitch factor, you can get a pretty close estimate of the roof. So I was like, this is just basically a simple calculator. So that was actually easier to build than the first feature. So I added that feature on both versions, and then people started using it like crazy. I started getting great reviews. I put an ad platform on there, so I started making a little bit of money.
I was going to say,
ads.
how do you monetize that?
Yeah, I was making a little bit of money on ads and still working on the side. So I was funding like my own business at the moment. So
I was going to ask you, because that my next question was going to be, okay, now you're getting traction, you're getting feedback, and a lot of questions that investors will ask when you have an app is, how are you going to monetize this? How are you going to make this happen? But first, you got to figure out, how am I going to support my family with my great idea that everybody loves, and I'm barely making some pennies off of? Because that's the challenge with apps, right?
And it gets crazy because I wasn't that ad revenue wasn't enough, and I was still doing roofing, but the roofing business that I had worked for, they kind of went out of business. So I moved back to Georgia, and at that point I wasn't making money. So I got a plumbing job. I got a job doing plumbing, so I could fund the business. I would literally wake up at 6 a.m. I would code from 6 to 8, and then go to plumbing, and then go from 8 to 5, and then I would work from 5 to 2 a.m.
Wow.
And I told myself at the moment, I can read my body, and I told myself I only needed 6 hours of sleep. So every night before I go to sleep, I would like count the hours. Then I would set my alarm for that time, 6 hours plus.
Wow. And meanwhile, your biggest fan and team player, because listen, folks, our partner spouses, our beloveds are on this journey with us. And how was she flowing through this? Because that's a big commitment away from the family. And sometimes it's like, in my case with my darling man, it was like, this is what we have to do. It's a short period of time in our life. This is where we're going. How did that work out for you?
Yeah, I think that's very important, what you said, because I literally had to sell my wife on the vision and say, hey, look, this could provide for us. This could provide for our kids. This could provide for our kids' kids. And she was, very afraid at first because of the money. And she's a soldier because she's been with me riding and so on. And we had our second child, and then we actually lost the house that we were living in because of the funding, because I was funding it.
Wow.
We were getting more and more behind on bills.
Sure.
And she was just so patient, and just like she didn't give up. She let me work on it, and she would have my she would help me.
That takes
so much.
That takes a very special person. And at the end of the day, it wasn't just, taking care of your family. It was also your unique opportunity to really bring your fully expressed brilliant self to the world. So I think she also saw that. I'm just thinking, because when you're a couple and there's no I in team, right? There's different time periods where you can focus on one person's dream, another person's dream, but you're in it together. It's this journey that you share and that you're committed to. So thank you for telling that story.
Yes.
So along the way, how did you monetize your app?
So we kept doing ad revenue for a while, and I actually found, as I was doing plumbing, I found this person that I was telling him about it. I was under his sink working on his garbage disposal, and I was telling him about it. Yeah, exactly. I remember it was just like that. I was literally on my back working on his garbage disposal, and he was looking at me like, "Oh, really? You have an app? Oh, really? I might have some money. I might can help you a little bit." So he and I would tell all the customers, if they asked, I would tell them. But he was like, I might have some money, and he ended up investing the first $25,000 to help us go.
Right, because now there's marketing involved, right? There's going to be, and is there a price to download Pitch Gauge now? Is there a fee?
So we had an option to you get the app for free, but then you can also remove the ads for $1.99.
Nice.
That still wasn't making enough money to do anything, but it kept us alive.
Yes.
So Yes.
And
So
and had you figured this out? Because one of the really cool things that you did was in 2019, you got accepted to the wonderful accelerator that's perfect for insurtech companies, folks, and it's called the
yes.
Hartford InsurTech Accelerator Program. How did you learn about this, and why did you want to get involved with that particular accelerator program?
Sure. So by that, so we ended up releasing our third version, and our third version was a full CRM, and that's the version that we have where you can measure the roof and use the Google Maps. Basically, you zoom into the property and you can trace the roof with your finger or stylus and get accurate measurements down to an inch. So, yep, that's the CRM. So, they reached out to me. Actually, they did a lot of research, and they picked out of 2,000 companies, they narrowed it down to 20, and then we had to go to Hartford, Connecticut, and we had to go pitch. And I'm still kind of new to the startup. I hadn't pitched, I hadn't started approaching investors, so I remember that I was like so nervous, and it was a 2-day pitch. The first day you did your pitch, and I was like, listen. Walking up the street, like listening to Eminem's, like, come on, you can do this, come on. So I pitched, and then it went well. And then at the end of the show, at the end of the first day, they were like, okay, you got to pitch again. And they were like, you can do the same presentation if you want, or you can, come up with something new. And I was like, okay, I didn't come here to lose, so I'm going to do something new and more creative. And I listened to the feedback that I got from everyone. Because after you pitch, you sit around and you speak to everyone and they tell you what they thought. So I listened to that feedback and I put that all together on the second pitch. And then when I got to the second pitch, I presented, it went well. And we ended up winning. We ended up winning $25,000 equity free.
Yay. And what was the most important use of those funds? Like, what was going to really help accelerate your business? What was on your plate that you knew if you got some funding, this would take you to another level, so you could buy a house and do all sorts of great things?
So at that moment, I had to really just we're still in development stage. So we were just trying to roll out our subscription model. Yeah. So we used some of that funds to just kind of survive and send my wife the money so she could pay the bills. And I had to go to Connecticut for 3 months. So the good thing about technology now is that you can stay in touch. Before your parents would leave and you just be gone. But now, like, I was FaceTiming my wife every day, like right there while I was coding. I had a couple screens here.
No, it's so true. My husband was in India for 6 months, and we were faxing each other. That's how old I am.
Yeah.
Just stay in touch.
I remember faxing.
It's so much easier than you're right, to have the FaceTime, be able to see the kids and talk to them. They can see daddy. And again, you're bringing your whole family along on this journey. So, and you're teaching your children so many wonderful lessons by, being the role model that you are, Abraham. So you're going to use these funds for what? Like, what was the first thing that $25K was going to go for?
It just, I was the main coder. We were still a small company. So this allowed me to just go full time and just like, quit my other job and just go full time and just code all day long. Yeah. So we did that, and the accelerator went well. We ended up picking up a lot of customers, a lot of traction, a lot of feedback. And now we have our current version, which is the version 3.0, which is a full CRM, and it's fully out. And I one of the things that I do is I really focus on talking to customers. If we have on our website, we have get a free live demo. It's usually an hour, and I take most of those calls. I usually take most of those free live demos, and also the support calls. I take a lot of those because that helps me understand what's really broken, what really needs to be adjusted, what customers are looking for.
Right, and what could wow them if you added it. I mean, that's just phenomenal market feedback that you were getting. That's
exactly.
Great.
So now I'm just building off of what I started to build off of what customers wanted and what they needed out there in the industry, and not just what I thought was cool.
Right. I've got to pop in what Mia had to say, though. He had me at, quote, I pitched, listened to feedback, pitched again, and won.
Yes,
folks,
exactly.
That's that's what I would call right here.
Thank you, Mia.
A wonderful. That's an Ande-licious moment. And thank you, Mia, for highlighting that and spotlighting that moment, because a lot of times, and I run a pitch event here in Boston, a co-host with Andy Jack, this pitch event here. And this is where I see founders stumble so often, is that they get the feedback and they go, what do they know? Right? No, you saw the feedback and you said, woo, I can see how this can pick up what I need to do. And you came back and you showed them, just like on The Voice or American Idol.
Yep. And that's what I'm doing with my product now. Basically, it's just like, that's why I like to take some of these technical support calls. It's like, what's going on? And then they're like, oh, by the way, it'd be cool if your software can do this. And then I'm like, okay, is that a feature that that is easy to implement? Is it easy to add? Is it going to cost money, or is it something that's really needed? Is it more than one customer asking me for it? So right now, like, to me, customer feedback's the main thing. So
it's key. And congratulations. Tell everybody again where you're at, how many downloads, and how many people are using your app, Pitch Gauge.
So we have 1.6 million downloads in 173 different countries, and we get anywhere between 80 to 100,000 active users a month, depending on the time of the year. Like right now, Hurricane Ida hit, and we're just like getting phone calls and emails after back to back. And subscriptions are going up. We also have a roofing show coming up, a roofing event, RoofCon, at the end of this month here. So September 29th, 30th.
Where's that show being held?
Orlando, Florida.
Okay. Yep. All right. Stay masked up. Get vaccinated, everybody. Stay safe.
Yes.
Yep. That's wonderful. Asia. Hey, Asia, so good to see you. She's saying, God bless you and your whole family. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Keep innovating, inspiring, and winning that money, sir. Agree 100%. Hello, Heather. She's saying, amazing, Abraham. Congrats and thank you for sharing your story. This is so important, everybody. And even with, and I'm just imagining this is probably the case, even with these incredible built-in, that you worked so hard, mental state of mind, techniques that you have and hacks that you have to stay focused, solve that problem. It doesn't mean it was all easy breezy. I mean, you lost your house during the process. You had other things, and you had to constantly deal with people watching your journey and going, I can't watch. I'm out of here. What's an example of someone who said that?
Sure. So I had a few people. The one that hit the most was probably my twin sister. She didn't understand the journey that I was going. She didn't understand the sacrifices my wife was making. So a lot of family members, including her, would go behind my back and tell my wife, out of concern, they'll be like, hey, you should really tell your husband to just get a job and, just let this go and so on. But by that time, my wife was like, she already knew that wasn't going to happen. And now, the vision is much bigger than myself. To me, I just feel like I must succeed because there's so many people that I will be able to help. If I give up or if it doesn't work, there's no way that, I can touch a lot of people, but if this is successful, I can help a lot of people understand that, hey, you can literally do anything you want. And that's important to me.
Absolutely. And, just be ready though, because, as you've heard the story of everything unfolding in Abraham's life, founders who are watching, know this to be true. You're going to go through tough times. There's just no easy way through this. But the beauty is like what happened to Abraham. So you're going to tap into parts of yourself that you didn't know existed. And it's going to give you so much confidence, so much awareness, so much ability that you're going to carry forward no matter what you do next. It is the best personal development program out there. So where is Pitch Gauge today?
So one thing that I wanted to say is that as far as that, it being hard, one of my mottos in life is, to myself is, don't freak out, especially when I come across these big problems. It's like, don't panic, don't freak out. To myself, don't panic, don't freak out. You're going to get through this. I try to hold on to those moments that I feel good and I feel, I feel like I'm on top of it. I try to hold on to those, and I try to remember when I'm down. It's like those moments are going to come back. Just hold on, keep going, even if it's at a slower pace, you must still keep going, because those moments are going to get back and you will get your groove back. It's just a matter of what you're going through right now. And sometimes you just have to step away And for me, my joy comes from, hanging out with my kids and hanging out with my wife. So I'll stop for a minute and just hang out with them, and like that's my fulfillment. And then I come back and like, okay, I'm ready to go. I feel like,
It filled
they've
your tank.
yeah, exactly, filled my tank. Yes. So yeah.
Oh,
So right now, thanks. So right now with Pitch Cage, we're just trying to raise our seed round. We're trying to raise $500,000 to scale. We have so much traction. We have so much potential. We have customers like knocking on our door, trying to hand us money, and we just need to grow our team and scale.
that's a
Much faster
beautiful
than what we're
place to
doing now.
be. And I got to tell you, one of the things that's wonderful is that you have created so much value in your business by getting that traction. A lot of times people are going for
Yes.
the money a little too soon, in my humble opinion, and they're going to give much more away of their business. Sometimes, you have to do that if you're in life sciences or bio or something.
Yes.
But if you can be on the skinny, be okay with losing the house and renting or moving in with family, whatever you need to
Yes.
do, it will free you up so that you're not worried, living so on the edge. It'll free you up to do what you need to do for your business. And how many children do you have?
I have four wonderful
Oh
children.
my
Yes. I love
gosh.
them. They're great. I
Oh my
love.
gosh.
I always try to. My thing is like I always try to make sure that I eat dinner with them, and I tuck them in bed. And
Perfect.
I always hang out with my wife, and we send each other. We have group chats. We send each other messages and so on. But we have a great relationship here
Oh,
in our
this
house.
is wonderful. This is, see, and again, from nothing. All right. You created this remarkable life with your business and with your wife. It's just phenomenal. It's a great role model. You've answered a lot of the questions I love asking, which is, what's your favorite mind hack? And you already said that. You said, just hold on to the times that were good and know that this too shall pass, basically. Right.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, how has being an entrepreneur served you both personally and as a result rippling into your professional life? What stands out the most? And you've shared so many great nuggets and wonderful stories along the way. What is standing out the most today?
The thing that stands out the most is there's going to be hard times, and that I'm just not going to give up during those hard times. The hard times make you stronger. The hard times make you smarter, wiser. So those hard times, they'll pass, and just hold on and don't panic. That's my thing. That's my motto: is don't freak out. Is don't freak out. And they'll
I think
pass.
I'm going to be
So
sharing that on TikTok. I don't know if folks know that, but at the end of every show, I hop on TikTok and share the one nugget that stood out the most. So today I'm going to just be saying,
yeah, it's like don't
share
freak
this
out. Just don't
Andy-licious advice. Don't
freak.
freak out.
Yes.
Keep
It's
calm. Get
easy. The
that meme.
anxiety. I mean, I get anxiety. I mean, everybody does.
Oh,
Everybody, anxiety is real, and I get anxiety, and I always just tell myself, okay, just calm down, don't panic. Just take it a step back. And mental health is very important, and you just got to do what you got to do to get that back stable and get back going.
that's right. I'm just going to show, your brand here, pitchgauge.com, everybody. Somebody who could probably use this, especially in areas that are getting hit by storms and need help. And, one last thing I wanted to acknowledge you for was when you joined the Hartford InsurTech Accelerator Program. Folks, this was a really wise decision on Abraham's part because Hartford, Connecticut, which is just down the road, is the
Yes.
insurance capital of the world. Share with folks just one last point about this and how important that is for you as a B2B company.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's very important. I knew that we were targeting insurance companies, so this was a perfect accelerator for us.
Yeah.
I would recommend anyone that's looking to build a business, find an accelerator program that can help you. They have some out there that don't take equity or don't take as much. Find one that works
And is
good.
that the
But
case with Hartford?
yep, they didn't take no equity. It
Excellent. And
just
how
like
long is the
introduction.
program?
It's 90 days.
90 days.
It's 90
Perfect. And
days.
how many mentors do you get?
Unlimited, unlimited, like literally so many that you can keep up with them. And I just
This is great. Folks,
yeah.
there are so many free accelerator programs out there. You just have to apply and apply again
Yes.
and
Yes.
again and again until you get in.
Yeah.
People's lived experiences, they don't have to be founders. Their lived experience is going to open doors for you and open your
Mhm.
eyes, your brain, your heart and just getting the support so you don't have to turn to your loved ones. You can turn to these folks and go, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm anxious about that. And what do I do here? They will support you. That's their role. I'm so glad you did that. I am so grateful that you joined us today in the Startup Life Live show, Abraham, to share your story. It is so inspirational. And investors out there, come on, reach out. I mean, you heard the story here. He has traction. He's created a ton of value. And he is going to figure out, he's never going to give up, and he's not going to panic either. And he's going to solve every problem that comes that way. That is an investable founder. And also, you've got founder product fit. I mean, you taught yourself inside how to understand how computers work, tech work, and then you had a tech help business and tech support business. Then you got into the roofing business, and so you really understood it. So you've got all these parts and pieces, and I just am so excited for your future. And I want to say, I just want to light a candle for your wife. She is the best team player ever. Best. She
is the number one partner. Yes, for sure. I definitely couldn't do this without her. And she knows that. I tell her that. I remind her that every single day. We love each other. We still sleep in each other's arms. She's amazing. And I would trade her for nothing in the world.
Thank you for that too. That's inspirational as well. I hate to wrap this up because I could talk to you forever, but I'm going to wrap this up now and just say to everybody, whoever in the roofing industry, send them over to pitchgauge.com. Thank you, Abraham. Seriously, for sharing your story. I'm so honored to have you on the show. And I learned a lot from this experience as well. And I know everybody tuning in did as well. Thank you. And thank you to the founders who joined us today and those who just enjoy watching the show and hearing these remarkable stories of folks who figured things out in spite of all the odds that were not in their favor. I hope this has helped you want to go dive deeper into realizing your own dreams as well, and that you do have what it takes to succeed. And yes, Asia, I'm feeling like, wow, so many thanks for Abraham's story. Let me share with you who's going to be on next, okay? Because this is a phenomenal woman. Next on the Startup Life Live show coming up on Tuesday, September 21st at 12 p.m. ET, 9 a.m. PT. It's all about landing government and commercial contracts, growing your business with, this is her handle, folks, Ms. Contracts and Grants, the one and only Linda Chatmon. She, for 25 years, Linda has been helping founders navigate the murky waters of government and commercial contracts. And hello, she's also an expert at grants. And I know that's one of the best ways to get non-dilutive equity into your business is through grants. You are not going to want to miss this episode. She is amazing. And so if you have any opportunity to want to go after government contracts, go after commercial contracts because you're a minority vendor, you're going to want to get all the nuggets from Linda. And how do you know about shows and when they're happening and what links to click to tune in live or via replay? You join the Startup Life Live meetup group. Woohoo! Scan the QR code there or click the link bit.ly/Startup Life Live in the show notes for both the video and podcast listeners. It's right there for you. Please join the group. I'm always interested interviewing these amazing founders. I mean, come on, you can't get enough of the story that Abraham shared today. And what Abraham reminded us was this right here. Okay. He reminded us that we are braver than we ever thought we could be and stronger than we ever thought we could be and wicked smarter than we ever thought we could be. So with that, don't panic. Keep going. And I will see you next time on the Startup Life Live show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mwah, blowing you kisses and wishing you a delicious day wherever you are. Cheers.